People podcast by Ethos of HR. This episode continues our HR system series, where we speak to the platforms shaping how organizations manage people, operations, and growth. In this conversation, I'm joined by Dylan Smith, where we explore the realities organizations are facing today, from fragmented systems and automation to scaling teams and managing global compliance. Rather than focusing on features, this episode looks at how unified systems can genuinely change day-to-day operations for HR teams and the wider business. Hello and welcome to the People podcast by Ethos of HR. Today we continue with our special series on HR systems, and I am joined by Dylan Smith. Thank you, Dylan, for joining us. To get started, could you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your role with Rippling, and also explain Rippling and what it does?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your time this year. So my name is Dylan Smith. I work on the partnerships team here at Rippling in Dublin. And essentially my role is to work and expand our partnership network. So working with HR consultants, business consultants, and accounting firms to provide a solution to help better serve their clients and find some synergy on where we can work together. And I suppose Rippling itself is the all-in-one workforce management solution. So I would never call Rippling just a HRIS or just a payroll platform. We are an all-in-one workforce management solution for businesses big and small.
I think a little bit of a background as to how I was introduced to Rippling. I met Dylan at the CIPD annual conference where he walked up seeing my stand, which was opposite to the Rippling lounge. And we started having a conversation about what Ethos of HR does. And me and Dylan spent quite a lot of time understanding what Rippling was. And it was I think it was that moment when I decided that this is something which I'd like to partner with. And I think we've partnered for a couple of months. So thank you again for joining. To start us off, Dylan, my question to you is, what are the biggest challenges you're seeing organizations face today when it comes to HR and people operations?
Yeah, I think there's many challenges that we kind of hear from customers. The biggest ones that stand out are a lack of visibility and clarity on their employee data. Scattered systems, maybe companies are still using spreadsheets, or they're using a wide range of systems to manage their employee data across HR, IT, and finance. And generally what that leads to is a lack of visibility on that data and a lack of real-time live quality employee data. And I think the workarounds then that are put on HR teams on the back of that to be able to kind of craft that data, either workarounds in spreadsheets or having to kind of put all of their time Monday to Friday into updating these separate systems and spending times, with manual admin and trying to actually get an idea of what data is live, where it is, what's correct. So I would say, a lack of visibility and clarity on real-time quality employee data is probably the biggest challenge that we see customers facing.
And I think that is so important to highlight here is not a lot of organizations think they have everything in control, and they feel that their data is secure and the information they hold on their systems is all up to date without anyone. And they do not pay too much of emphasis in saying, well, it is also quite important that the system which manages that needs to be at that level, which not just stores it, but also helps people to use that data accurately. So I think that is really, really important point that you have mentioned. Now, leading to the next one, it actually really, this is something which is really important for Ethos of HR to understand is, how has the way organizations across the EMEA think about HR technology, how has it changed over the last few years?
Yeah, I think it's changed quite a lot. I think just off what you just said there a second ago around kind of having a system that has the culture within it to serve the workforce instead of the workforce constantly serving the system and its lack of capabilities or thereof. I had a conversation with a CPO this week, and that was kind of the main initiative for the company was like, look, we need a system that serves our workforce as opposed to us spending all our time serving the system. And I think that really kind of encapsulates how leaders in EMEA are now thinking about their HR technology. It's around kind of more strategic thinking. Rippling, as I'm sure we'll come to later in the conversation, but Rippling is a solution for companies that want to do more with less and they want to achieve more, shrink overheads and achieve more with providing with less systems really. So I think that's definitely the main way in which I'm seeing leaders kind of change their thinking around HR tech is more strategic. They want a single source of truth. They want a centralized system for all of their employee data. They don't want three separate systems with separate premium overheads every year. They want a more centralized view so that every department is reading off the same hymn sheet.
And you just hit that point. There is multiple systems doing the same job, and we get this a lot from organizations where they say our HR is always busy. What they really
Yeah,
don't understand is your HR is busy because they are using five different systems to do the same job, and then they just start having that. Uh, they don't hit that reality to say it's not that people which are busy, it's your systems which are busy and making
yeah.
them look busy. So I think it's really important. So you said something really interesting about what organizations see in rippling. So what typically drives organizations to look at rippling in the first place?
Yeah, I think it's a number of things. I think to your point there, having a poor setup and a poor set of systems that constantly have the HR team jumping hurdles, jumping fences, and constantly chasing their tail, putting out fires. I think that's what we see is that teams get to a breaking point where they can't continue on this road of kind of inefficiency and spending 40 hours a week, jumping hurdles and putting out fires. So I think the biggest thing that Rippling is offering to our customers now is a more centralized view on employee data, but it's driving efficiency off the back of that. It's having one place for all your employee data so that when you do make a change within the platform, it affects all the areas where it needs to be. And again, the system is serving the workforce as opposed to the workforce spending all their time serving the system. So there's often a hidden cost that comes with HR systems, or there has been historically, and that's the manual admin time that's going to take to upkeep this system. And I think that's where companies are kind of hitting a breaking point where we can't continue to put 40 hours a week into just managing their systems anymore. They need their systems to offer a little bit more. And, big tech has to earn its place in the market today, I feel. And that's kind of what we're seeing customers evaluate Rippling for. It's they need more from their systems today, and their current tech stack isn't quite cutting it.
And I think that's something which has led me really well to the next question, is in this very crowded HR tech market, what would you say genuinely sets Rippling apart from all the other platforms which are available out there?
Yeah, I think coming back to that single source of truth, I think it is Rippling is the only platform on the market today that's natively built and has built from an intrinsic employee data outwards motion. And that hasn't relied on any acquisitions to build the product. We've built the product solely on that employee data and all the modules around that. So you think of from initially your ATS screening system to your HRIS to performance management, all of that is built natively within our platform. Again, further encapsulating that single source of truth. And I think one of the other things that kind of sets Rippling apart is the fact that we have a lot of global capability as well. So we have customers of 10,000 employees running on the platform, but we also have employees of 10, 15, 20 running on the platform. So two big extremes. And I think the power of the platform being able to shape and mold Rippling's capabilities to what your actual requirements of your business are today. I think that's what sets us apart in a big way, is being able to mold the system and the platform to your requirements today. And then I think off the back of that is our customer support. So, we have, big plans to expand and grow across EMEA this year. And, we wouldn't get anywhere without having the best customer support. So definitely one of our priorities is how we support our customers and making sure they get the right platform for what they need. So we do publish our CSAT scores on our website. So we take great pride in that. And we're also the number one rated HCM solution on G2 today. So I think having the right solution for our customers, but also making them and helping them achieve what they need out of their system is probably what sets us apart on both the domestic and the global scale.
And I think one thing which you mentioned about bringing in different systems into one system, and like we just discussed about how HR is always busy in doing recruitment on a ATS, which is somewhere else. You've got their HR system, and then they do their payroll in another system. They do their performance review on probably on a Word document. So what difference does unifying all these systems actually make to day-to-day HR and people operations?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there with the current setups that we see. But the difference that actually makes day-to-day in the life of a HR admin or generally workforces across the world is having quality data within the system at any given time. And that just doesn't start with HR. HR is the fundamental piece that's involved in getting quality data to IT, to finance. But all three departments need quality data at any given time. So when the HR department and the finance and HR are all reading off the same hymn sheet, they all have that vital employee data in one space. It removes those hurdles that teams need to jump to get access to that data. So we talk about using multiple systems or using systems that don't quite require the functionality needed to cover all departments, and they need to focus on workarounds. That doesn't happen with Rippling. All of that employee data is in one place, and it means that you don't have to jump hurdles to run reports. You can ask the platform to run a headcount report for the last 12 months and it will do it, because all of that employee data again sits in one place. And each department reads off the same hymn sheet. They're not working against each other. It brings every department in the company to work in line and in sync with each other.
Yeah, and I think that's something which many of the organizations today are looking at, and also because of the challenges of recruitment, of having HR professionals in there, and that then really leads me well to this question I've got is a lot of people ask about automation. They talk about what can the system actually do without me actually doing anything on the system. So
yeah.
What does that actually look like in practice on the platform?
Yeah, so I think going back to the conversation around those hurdles and fires that staff are kind of constantly having to put out on a day-to-day basis. When we actually pull back and we dive into what that is, that's okay, we've moved an applicant along the cycle of the ATS. But do their managers know? Do the hiring managers know? Do the new potential managers of this applicant know? A lot of the times they don't. And it's on, maybe the talent manager to go and send emails and to loop different people in. But you can automate away almost anything within the platform. And you do that by using our workflow studio to basically tell the platform that when applicant A moves to screening 3, automatically send an email to the rest of the stakeholders involved in the new hiring to let them know that this applicant's moved to the next stage. Take a look at their review, take a look at their application, their recording of their previous interview. And that's kind of one basic example, automatically send a survey to an employee after 30 days to review the onboarding, and you can automate away anything within the platform. So all of that kind of manual admin and time spent within the platform, putting out those fires and jumping hurdles, that's removed because of the automation power by having everything in one place. So often at times, you'd have a HRIS and a separate ATS. You can't automate two systems that aren't living off the same data. But once all the data is living in the same place, that's where automation can really be a key player in removing the manual admin and giving time back to the workforce itself. We talk about serving a workforce as opposed to the workforce serving the platform. And that automation is how we really, really achieve that.
and I think I just wanted to put it out there for all the listeners, is it does not still replace people, because sometimes when you use the word automation or artificial intelligence, the first question is, will it replace my job? No, it's not there to replace you. It's there to make your job easy so that you don't really miss something which was important. And I get that a lot from people to say, oh, we've got the automation or we've got the artificial intelligence. Will it, replace? Do you need an additional resource? Yes, I need an additional resource to run that automation. I need them to manage that automation, but I think it's just to put it out there. People shouldn't think that if I get Rippling, I'm going to replace. No, you still need professional HR to run the system for them to have that smooth operations. So it leads me really well to the next question, Dylan, is who is Rippling really designed for, and which types of organizations tend to get the most value from it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think coming back to my earlier point around how you build and mold your version of Rippling to your needs today, and that can change tomorrow. I think Rippling, as I said, we have customers at 10,000 employees that are really trying to achieve some large strategic expansion goals. And then we also have tech startups on 15 employees, 10 employees that are trying to centralize their data before they go on that large venture. And I think the power of being able to shape and mold the platform's requirements to your needs, it makes it for companies that want to do more with less, that want to shrink overall overheads and that want to achieve more on the back of that want a centralized system and that don't want their workforce spending time, again, jumping hurdles and digging through systems to try and get what they need. It's 2026 now. I nearly said 2025, but it's 2026 and, people shouldn't have to spend time in systems that aren't giving them back value and serving systems. So I think in essence, it's for companies that want to do more with less. And on that point, I suppose typically what we see is companies will reach 10, 15 employees and they'll need to go and procure a HR system at its base, just to manage employee data, to get payroll paid and so forth. And ultimately what they end up doing is going to the market, purchasing a system based on two things: the ease of use, to put it lightly, and how quickly will the staff be able to adopt this system, and also affordability. What's the price? They're generally in a startup scale-up phase. But ultimately, what happens is off the back of that, 2-3 years pass, and the complexity of the workforce begins to change. And all of a sudden, companies need more from their systems, and they have to go back and they have to re-platform. And scaling shouldn't mean re-platforming. And with Rippling, it doesn't, because you will choose and build a platform to your needs today as a startup, but Rippling grows with you. So we started out on the platform at Rippling with a handful of employees, and we're now one of the biggest users of the platform with over 5,500 employees. So very much a system to grow and scale with you. But in essence, Rippling is for companies that want to do more with less, that want to say goodbye to putting out fires and spending time spent in systems, and that want to achieve more.
And you've mentioned 3 points, and I will add to another one is I faced this personally, but people don't plan when they get to a stage for procurement, is the person who's looking for procurement goes out there and says, you know what, I actually used the system in my last organization, and that was amazing. Yes, it probably was amazing to the organization you are at, but that does not mean it fits the organization you are working in currently. And that's why at Ethos of HR, we partner with different HR systems, not because we feel that there's this one system and that should fit all of the clients we're looking for, but more to say which HR system fits the needs of the organization you're looking at. And that's why we partner with different systems, and they're not the same, because that's the aim, what we're trying to achieve here. And also for organizations who are looking for systems out there, they need to make sure that they understand what their needs are today and also what their needs are going to be tomorrow. I think they only understand what the needs are for today, and then they struggle. As they say, you need to go back again, look for a new system. And then people tend not to like that because they don't like change. So, in that, at that stage, how does Rippling really support organizations as they grow and scale?
Yeah, look, I suppose you've hit the nail on the head there in terms of the moving systems and then bringing systems with you to companies that may not be a good fit. And I suppose Rippling works really, really well with companies that are growing and scaling globally, and we've seen that with ourselves, even in practice. But I think to answer your question on how Rippling helps companies that are growing globally and scaling, it's being able to build the platform to your requirements year on year. So you may decide to go on an expansion plan, expand into a new market next year. You're going to need workforce. Rippling can help you facilitate that without having to go and re-platform. And that's typically the puddles that we see companies have to step into. Is that okay? We're going to have to go now and get a new EOR. We're going to have to get a finance team on the ground to look at the regulations involved in remaining compliant in that region, etc. And all of those headaches are taken away with Rippling because we have teams on the ground in those areas, in those regions that are constantly monitoring compliance changes within the region so that you are going to stay compliant. And then you can use an EOR feature to launch a new expansion plan and scale properly and responsibly. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest way in which we help companies grow and scale is about adding new modules instead of having to go and re-platform. As I said, scaling shouldn't mean re-platforming, but with Rippling, it doesn't. It's again adding more mold to the system that you already have.
Yes, and then for us at Ethos of HR, we are looking on scaling ourselves and not just providing services in the UK, but also providing services in the Middle East or in Asia. So, and that again for me, in my final question, is there are a lot of organizations which are either scaling internationally or are looking for systems which are not just available in their local markets, but which are available on the global scale. So how does Rippling help manage global compliance?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose coming back to the point that we made earlier on about how companies are moving through phases and are looking to expand year on year. It's one of those things. Rippling embeds compliance directly into the platform, and especially across borders. It's one of the biggest challenges that I think leaders face is how to remain compliant and how to expand at ease. And again, scaling and expanding shouldn't mean re-platforming. It should mean having that quality employee data at your fingertips and molding that to the region that you're expanding into to remain compliant. And that's what Rippling has done. It's taken an employee data focus and then it's molded the compliance regulations in different regions around that. So we're constantly expanding our global coverage around our employer of record and our global payroll function. We recently actually just got our native payroll license for Germany, which has been a massive project 4 years. So yeah, I suppose being able to mold the platform around those local compliance regulations in region and making sure that you do remain compliant is definitely one of the ways that we're kind of helping companies scale and grow comfortably and compliantly. We have a HR services module with the platform that actually helps companies get set up and expand globally. So yeah, very much one of our kind of wider strategic initiatives is helping to actually expand our capabilities and our coverage for those customers that are expanding globally. But yeah, that's so in essence how we're kind of helping manage compliance and bring a bit of clarity to companies that are looking to scale and grow globally.
So Dylan, my final question to you is now looking at the global presence of Rippling. You are based out of Dublin. Your expansion into EMEA region is growing. So what's next? What are we looking at now when it comes to the next stages of Rippling? Or what should we be more excited about?
Yeah. There's a couple of things that I'm personally very excited about for Rippling's growth in EMEA. We're moving office very, very soon. We're expanding our headcount in Dublin and EMEA. So very, very exciting times. I think one of the main things that I'm really excited for in Rippling EMEA at the moment is expanding our partnership channel. So working with more HR consultants, business consultants, and accounting firms alike to drive those partnerships, expand our partnership footprint in EMEA, and the growth that we're going on is really, really exciting. So I would say that's kind of the main things. There's going to be a lot to come. You're going to hear a lot more about Rippling's partnership channel now this year. So yeah, definitely the expansion, the growth, and the opportunity is something that I'm really, really excited for at Rippling.
I think consultants like me are also really, really excited to partner with systems like Rippling and grow ourselves with. So Dylan, thank you for joining me today and sharing your insights. It's been great having you on the podcast, and I really do hope that you do come back again, and we definitely have another session on, to probably launch your new office and then a session from your new office. So thank you again for joining.
Absolutely, Dylan. My pleasure. Thank you for your time this year. Great to chat, and absolutely. I'm sure we'll do an episode 2 at some stage.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of this episode in our HR Systems series. My thanks again to Dylan for sharing practical insights into how organizations can simplify complexity as they grow. If you're currently reviewing your HR systems, scaling your workforce, or trying to create more joined-up people operations, this is exactly the type of thinking HR leaders need to be considering. Thank you for listening to the People Podcast by Ethos of HR.